Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And tonight we have one of the stars of the new movie just released last Friday, We Need to Talk, Chaney. Trey, thank you for being our guest. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so glad to be on with you, man. And I'm a fan of Dead Talk Live, and this
Oh,
is
thank
dope.
you. Thank you. And I saw the movie. It is available. Let me get this out of the way so our viewers know where to find it. It's
Yeah,
available for streaming on Tubi for free. It's also available on Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video,
yeah,
and so on. So let's get right to it, okay? We Need to Talk is a comedy,
yeah.
which the main theme is people that get wrapped up in technology
hmm
and the views, the likes, the comments. We ignore the people that are actually in our lives, our family, our loved ones. What are your thoughts on that theme and the importance of it to have it told through a movie?
Well, like you said, man, we need to talk. I really got to give a big special shout out to Todd Wolf, our amazing writer, director, producer, who really wrote this piece. And I fell in love with the script because just like you said, it takes place in Philadelphia, and James Maslow plays the famous YouTube video gamer
Yeah.
Great Scott. And he's the one that the movie is centered around as far as him being so wrapped up. He's famous and he's involved with this whole YouTube brand, the game, like you said, the likes, the comments, until he could neglect, the people who really love him, who's really in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And my character, I play Tango Unchained, a video gamer, and I'm sort of like the friend of Great Scott that tells it like it is. I'm like, look, if your woman told you she needed to talk and you was wrapped up into that computer or that video game and you let her slip away, she might be out in the streets with somebody else. So it's it's a rom-com, but the reason why I love this so much is because it has some heart.
It
It's
does.
really, it has drama parts in it where you could get emotional watching it. Like, for instance, when everything's come crashing down on Scott and
Mm-hmm.
people start unsubscribing, and I feel like what you mentioned in the beginning, as far as the importance, we do as human beings have to have a balance when it comes to what we do in our careers versus our personal life
Oh,
with
yeah.
with our family, our loved ones, and our friends. So that's a huge part of why I wanted to become, one of the actors in this film, playing Tango Unchained, a part of this whole production, because that's the point. It's like, look, we got to learn that it's a time and a place for everything. We have to know how to separate whatever we need to separate from, like I said, our professional careers and our personal lives.
Absolutely. And Wolf he really nailed it when he wrote the script and directed it. Let me give you an example. I have three teenagers. My
Mhm.
wife, who is, she's a doctor. She has a doctorate degree. She's a gamer as well, right? In fact, she's in
Wow.
the next room right now gaming. Okay.
Wow.
Now, what's funny is you mentioned you play Tango Unchained. That's your
Mhm.
gamer tag, right?
Yeah.
And living with a family that I have so many gamers, and these people that you interact with, you become a close knit group. They're your
Yeah.
friends, and
Mhm.
they refer to each other, even though they know each other's real names. They refer to each other by their gamer tags. I
Yeah.
mean, what do you think about that? I thought that was just nailed it right on the head.
Well, yeah, the movie itself, well, another thing that I loved about it, because I love the whole thing, it dived into that world
Mm-hmm.
of gamers. And this was a first time for me playing a gamer, because I wasn't a gamer before I got cast. I have a 16-year-old son who's a gamer.
Uh-huh.
So I had to learn a couple of pointers from him. And of course, Todd Wolf, the amazing director, writer, and producer, was on set with me the whole time, coaching me on certain games such as Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat, just different video games that he pictured that a person like Tango Unchained would like. And that's the whole point. Like you said, your wife is a gamer and they call each other by their handles, their
Yeah.
game name, whatever. And that's because they become so close knit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a job when you work with certain employees for a number of years, and you kind of get to know them, and you kind of get to know their families, and you get to know what they're about, you know, and that's the connection, and that's the connection of the internet. That's the
Yeah,
connection of social media and technology. You could connect with people who you've never met face to face, but y'all develop a relationship
that's
over
really,
time
and it's really
from
strong.
yeah, from this real strong just from playing a video game.
We got to talk about one of the people in the gaming group, and that's Spencer, the little boy. I believe that was his name, Spencer, played by Wesley. He was funny. He brought a lot of humor into this movie. When you saw the final product, when it was all cut together and everything, I mean, what did you think of Spencer's, role in the movie and his interaction with the other people in that gamer group?
Um, I think the young kid that I had dialogue with, Cal.
Cal. Okay, I probably got
Yeah,
the name confused, so I'm sorry
yeah,
about that.
Cal, and his real name is Devin, but this kid is an amazing actor. What I felt that Todd Wolf and all the producers and the people that edited, they put this together so well because you would have thought that we were actually interacting
Yeah,
the whole time while we were on set, but I may have shot on a Monday. That kid probably didn't shoot until like a Thursday. So the way it was cut up and it was edited together, um, it was amazing, to watch um, how it all came together in the conversation and the dialogue,
absolutely.
how we all just made it flow, and that comes from people like Todd Wolf writing good content and good material.
Well, let me ask you this because the majority of the movie, you are in the scenes by yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're supposedly interacting with the other gamers, but you're not. How difficult was that for you as an actor to pull it off? Talking to people that are not there, imaginary, you have to come up with the dialogue in your mind. And how instrumental was Todd in helping you walk through those scenes?
Well, you just actually just hit it on the nose. Todd was right there, and Todd knows that script from top to bottom. And he actually walked me through by him playing all of the other characters
Wow.
off screen behind the camera while I was in front of the camera doing my thing as an actor. For me, it wasn't necessarily a challenge because, now with everything that's going on with COVID and, the pandemic, our only way of auditioning now is just like this,
Tapes.
whether it's via Zoom or whether it's via self tape. So it was almost like second nature to me. Like, okay, if I was able to adapt and adjust to how I do interviews, how I do self tape auditions, then I can adjust to, if I'm in a film, if the cameras are here and here, and I'm looking at this TV, it was almost like I just had to, as an actor, I had to really adapt and adjust to, okay, in the front of me, this is a character,
Exactly.
even though it's a blank screen.
Yeah.
But then Todd was reciting the lines,
Yeah.
from the other characters. So when you heard my dialogue, you heard a certain pace, you heard a certain flow,
Yeah.
and it was just like that's the power and the magic of editing and movie magic, man.
Oh man, you were funny as hell. I mean, you were just
Yeah, I had
funny.
fun.
And your girlfriend, who you've never actually met face to face in
Lady
the
fingers,
movie
yeah.
before, and she's in the United Kingdom, and she's the only woman in the group full of guys. That was just hysterical. Now,
Yeah,
let me get your take on this. When your partner says we need to talk, right?
yeah,
And she walks out, he or she walks out of the house, and you're just left with that simmering in your mind. That's what this movie's about.
yeah,
Scott's girlfriend says we need to talk as she leaves for work. So once he realizes what she says, and he's left there the whole day trying to figure it out, and it just eats him apart. What are your feelings on that when your partner says we need to talk? It's like, I've been married 22 years. When I hear that, I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
yeah. And I'm going on 18 years of marriage. And if I hear that we need to talk, I'm automatically, I don't want to say on guard,
Mm-hmm.
but because, throughout life, when somebody says we need to talk, majority of the time, it could be bad news.
And it's going to be
Sometimes,
serious. Yeah.
yeah, it could be serious and I just brace myself, but at the same time, I take that very, I don't take that lightly. Like if my wife or my kids say, "Hey, we need to talk," yeah, let's get down to it now, because I don't want that to simmer in my brain like Scott did,
Yeah.
and it basically practically drove him crazy.
It did.
And then when he finally got to the space of wanting to talk, he found out it really was nothing,
Yeah.
and it was just like, hey, I just wanted to talk about an apartment upstairs. But I think we as human beings, we have to take that serious and take that 100% into consideration when somebody in our family or loved one or even a friend says, hey,
Absolutely.
we need to talk, because you gotta, with everything that's going on in the world today, you never know what people want to talk about. It's so much happening. That might be the chance for you to really show up and be there for somebody.
Absolutely. I completely agree. When it comes to doing comedy, in this case with We Need to Talk and Todd, the director, uh, did he give you any leeway on how to deliver some of your lines? I mean, you're a funny guy. Did he have
Yeah.
full faith? I mean, or was he very strict and he's like, okay, the tone has to be this way, it has to be delivered this way? What was it like with Todd behind the camera?
Since I've been knowing Todd for 10 years now.
Wow.
I've been knowing Todd for, I want to say 10, between 10 and 12 years, because we met, in Philly on another film that I worked on called Streets. Meek Mill was the star of it. And Todd, you know, he wrote Tango Unchained for me. And I said, wow, when you get a writer that actually knows you personally,
Yep.
and he writes these lines, people may have thought, because the lines flowed so smoothly, that it was ad lib, but I tell everybody it was those words and the way those lines came off was something that I really would have said. If I'm talking trash to my friends, I mean, those were like my lines, and I was very, very impressed by how Todd just, you know, he knows me,
Yeah.
and he wrote Tango for me. So I was
That's
like,
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah. And I was like, wow, like, that's amazing how a director or a writer or a producer can say, that's our guy. We want him to be Tango. And I wrote this specifically for him.
The movie starts off with Scott, the star of the movie, doing of YouTube, which is the movie's version of a YouTube video, explaining to his followers he sort of dropped off the radar for the last 3 months. Okay, and the movie is told through the lens of him retelling his followers what has happened over the last 3 months, which is a great way to tell a story. Uh,
Yeah.
and then as the credits roll, you see, as Todd goes through this day and his relationship with his girlfriend progresses in the 3 months, and you see he that day changed his life. If you were to pinpoint what the moment in that day that actually changed him, because we don't want to give any spoilers away, but
Right.
when he confronts his girlfriend at that party, that work party, and he was actually genuine, honest, and truthful, but then he sort of gets sidetracked a little bit again.
And
So,
yeah,
what moment do you think had the biggest impact on Scott to sort of say, you know what? Let's cherish the people that are around us and let's not take them for granted.
it was that moment, when he got sidetracked and he had to regroup, and she had left. She didn't want to marry him or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was another moment where Jonathan Fernandez character Joe,
Yeah.
when they were in the house, and he was treating him like like this guy didn't kind of like help him brand
Yeah,
who Great Scott was and brand the whole YouTube channel. And sometimes that can happen. We could, take for granted the people that's really there for us and doing a lot for us. And that's one thing that we shouldn't do.
absolutely.
So that was one of those parts, two of those parts that I said what made me say, okay, this script has heart.
And
This story has a lot of heart, and this story is something that people are really going to be able to relate to.
and more to the heart of the story, and you just mentioned it, is the relationship between Joe and Scott. I mean, here are what we assume are lifelong friends. Okay, Joe is
Mhm.
Scott's editor, producer. Oh, by the way, I thought it was funny because he's his producer and editor. Scott calls him Predator.
Yeah,
That was hysterical. But,
yeah,
we see these two people, and the moment that they have, the real moment when Joe tells Scott, I could be making more money doing this, but I'm doing this with you because I believe in it. That's another real moment right there that should not be taken for
yeah.
granted. When you were watching the film and you saw the interaction between the characters of Scott and Joe, what did you think of their relationship?
Um, I, my thoughts were Joe had always been there for him, and those are the type of friends that you definitely need in your life that you definitely can't take advantage of.
Yeah,
I have friends like that to this day that you know that will stand out in the rain, sleet, or snow with me when it comes to my product. I have a website that I run, ChaneyWay.com, that sells merchandise, and for a while we had to stand on the corners of Washington D.C., which is where I'm originally from, Forestville, Maryland, and sell
just down the
our
road
merch.
from me. Well, I'm just outside DC in Northern Virginia.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm from Forestville, originally from Washington D.C. I live in Atlanta now, but yeah, we when I had to rebrand myself and I had to actually sell merch out the trunk of my car, I had a friend, Torrance Hall, who reminded me of Joe,
yeah,
and those are the type of people that you got to have around because those people they know you and
yeah.
they know what you need and they know what can elevate and take your career to the next level. And I'm blessed to still have that relationship with my friend, just like Joe and Great Scott had their relationship.
In the movie, Joe makes a very powerful statement to Scott about the number of followers that he has, which is over 3 million on his, YouTube channel. And then Joe says, how many people are following you on your personal page? Like
14, yeah,
14.
yeah,
And that was a very powerful statement because a lot of the people that you meet, everyone's sort of in their own way trying to look for the hustle in a way. What can I get out of this relationship? And I think you nailed it right on the head. The people that will be out there in the sleet rain for you when you really need them, those are the real people in your life. Those are the ones that are your true friends. So you nailed it right there, right on the head.
yeah,
Now let's talk in the little bit of time we have left. You're wearing that awesome hoodie, The Wire.
yeah,
You have done a lot of work in your career. Now you have had in television. You have had prominent roles on two series, The Wire, which was earlier in your career, and
mhm,
more recently, Saints and Sinners. Looking
yeah.
back, would you say The Wire was your big break that you needed in acting for everything that came after?
Yeah, well, I was very fortunate to land The Wire, my first audition, first job as an actor out the gate.
Wow.
A lot of people don't even know that.
I didn't know that.
I my background consists of a hip hop artist, dance, music, and I was discovered at like 18 years old. I had been dancing and doing hip hop since I was 8 years old. And that was just my career. That was just what I was doing. My parents were very supportive, my uncle. And when I was discovered at 18 in DC at the Lincoln Theater, a woman by the name of Linda Townsend, she said, I don't represent hip hop artists or dancers, but I represent actors. And I just feel that you have a certain look about you. And I want, to submit you. You got headshots. You can put your performances that you where you performed at all over the world as a resume,
Yeah.
since you don't have an actor's resume. But she said, I just feel somebody would give you a shot to audition for a role. And acting was something that I've always wanted to do. So, the first job she submitted me for was The Wire. That,
Damn.
that was my first, yeah. And, and I went in there and I read for Weebay. That was the first time I had read for Weebay. And I was always good at memorizing lines. I went in there with Pat Moraine, who's an amazing friend of mine, and she she's one of the biggest casting directors in the world, not
Yeah.
just in Baltimore, but she cast for so much stuff. And I read for Weebay. I remember getting a call back, and then when I went and got the call back, meaning I didn't necessarily they wasn't saying I necessarily booked the role. A callback is when the directors,
Yeah.
writers, and producers want to see you. So I walk in there and David Simon is there.
Wow.
Nina Noble is there. And I'm like, I read again, and then I get a call 3 weeks later, October of 2001. And they said, you didn't land Weebay, but you booked the role of Malik Poot Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only supposed to be in, I want to say, the first episode or first two episodes, end up being a recurring character for all 5 seasons that it was on.
I think you have like well over 26, 28 episodes that you were in,
Yeah,
maybe
The
more.
Wire is one of the most critically acclaimed, groundbreaking
Oh,
television
yeah.
series of all time. And just to be sitting on here with you talking about it 20 years later, because it turns 20 June 2nd.
Yeah.
So, I'm thankful for that. And then after that, it was a break. It was a breaking period for me, breaking point, because I had a choice. Do I give up? Do I keep going? Because I wasn't really booking a whole bunch of roles after it ended.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did was I used The Wire as a stepping stone and
Oh,
started
yeah.
creating my own content and short films and music, and I got out in the streets and I sold my merch out the trunk of my car. And then that led to a call from George Pierre, who's a huge casting director out here in Atlanta. And he said, Trey, I got a role for you. It's this program on Bounce TV called Saints and Sinners.
There you go. The
And
next one.
now I'm in my 6th season of Saints and Sinners. I've been with the show since season 1. So it's things like that have just happened in my career. And one thing that I realized as an actor is even when the auditions are not coming, that's when an actor really needs to lock into self, study, read up on books, find out who's doing an acting class, even if it's for free or if you got to kick out a little money, it's worth it. And the point is just never give up.
And,
Stay consistent in auditioning and just showing up and showing out and being confident and determined. And that's been my whole career.
and make your own opportunities. Don't just sit by the phone and just wait for it to ring. Do what you did. Go out,
Yeah.
make your own opportunities. Looking back, you were all into hip hop and got into acting. I'm sure that was a great decision looking back now. Are you still active in the hip hop world and acting?
Yeah.
Where does hip hop sit in your life right now?
Oh, I'm recording and shooting videos at least like twice, 3 times a month. And
Nice.
my YouTube page is Dedicated Father Series YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
I have over 25 videos on my YouTube page right now.
Say that page
Um,
again so everybody can catch it and go there. What is it?
yeah, my YouTube page that I want everybody to subscribe to is Dedicated Father Series YouTube page.
No.
And it has all Trey Chaney content on there. I have 25 music videos which run on BET Jams, MTV, VH1, Revolt. Majority of them run on those networks. And then I have interviews with some of the biggest cast members from The Wire that I just do myself. And it's a whole bunch of Trey Chaney motivational, inspirational content.
That's
So
amazing.
I put all of my content on one page. You can go there and you'll love the page. It's super positive. And then you'll get a chance to vibe to the music and really, understand who Trey Chaney is as a person.
That's awesome. You're moved now. Atlanta. Just one last question before we go. Atlanta is a big film television mecca. You know,
Yeah.
uh, moving from DC to Atlanta, would you say that was a great move for you going down into Atlanta? And why Atlanta as opposed to what everybody else who wants to be in television and movies does? Go to Hollywood, go to LA. What made you go to Atlanta instead of LA?
Well, Atlanta is definitely the Hollywood mecca now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everybody from LA is coming to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, and over the years, that sort of had to happen. And you know, with the filming industry here, the tax credit
Mm-hmm.
on when you come here to film, and the living conditions were way better than what me, my wife, and my kids were paying in DC
Oh
for
yeah.
an apartment versus a brand new house built from the ground up.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, wow, I should have been in Atlanta, you know, because you get the bang for your buck here, you know, and you know, my son goes to an amazing school, and life in Atlanta is just, that was the move. I said,
Yeah.
and then, and another thing, I was shooting Saints and Sinners here since 2015, but me, my wife, and my son decided to just relocate in 2017 and just jump out there on faith. And man, now I'm looking at going on almost 5 years of living in another city, another state. Not too many family members here, but this is somewhere where they can come visit. And it was one of the best moves of my life.
That's awesome. Where was The Wire filmed, out of curiosity?
The Wire was filmed in Baltimore.
Baltimore, damn. Just up the road, just up the road.
Yeah.
I want to thank Trey Chaney for coming on here, sharing his great stories. Again, the movie, which just came out a week ago today, is called We Need to Talk. Check it
Mhm.
out. It's on Tubi for free with ads, but definitely worth it. Check it out. It's a hysterical movie. And a lot of people are going to watch this. And I think this is a movie that everybody can relate to. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I definitely agree. You're gonna love it.
Absolutely. Again, thank you to our guest, Trey Chaney. The movie is We Need to Talk. Thank you to our audience, those who are tuning in live and those who will watch this later on. On behalf
Yeah.
of Trey and myself, stay safe and stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.